So if you're a PT struggling to move into the online space, maybe you want to ditch time for money, maybe you want to get a little bit more freedom so you can travel and operate from anywhere in the world, you might want to increase your value per hour, or you just want to upgrade your client base, where you want to attract people who want more and bigger results, and you want to give more impact and help other people. I put this video together. I want to share with you the 5-step blueprint that I created for one of my clients, Lloyd, that helped him go from 50 hours per week on the gym floor to 5xing his income working 0 hours per week on the gym floor. He's now able to go on holiday whenever he wants. He doesn't book a return flight. And typically within 2 to 3 days, he pays off the holiday because we're doing consults from the balcony. And he's able to enjoy a bit more flexible lifestyle. And he's not alone. I've successfully replicated this model onto multiple PTs, so the system works. But why should you listen to me? Well, I've raised $4.2 million for my clients so far. I don't do contracts, so I operate on a month-to-month basis. So the clients would leave me if I was shit. And my average client lifetime is somewhere between 9 and 12 months. So I work on performance and I have to deliver results to my clients. So everything I share on this channel is to help you grow your business from direct one-to-one experience. With that being said, let's get into it. Awesome, so here are the 5 stages that we need to run through to take you from a personal trainer into an online coach, where we can really cut away you trading your time for money and give you a little bit more scalability, more income, and also more flexibility from where you operate. So we've got to look at firstly splitting your service, which is going to be crucial, and then we're going to move into kind of how we remove your time, how we organize your time, and how we leverage referral networks. You being a personal trainer where you have experience on the gym floor is essential, and you can actually vastly outcompete local online coaches because you have this network already established and you have a high degree of trust in your local area. It was huge and fundamental to Lloyd's success. And honestly, in 2 years, we haven't sent a single outbound DM. We're averaging about, well, on a high season, 10 inquiries per week to 5 inquiries per week on a low season. All of those come through referral networks we've established and the content strategy which we developed. It's all inbound, and that is the power when we get to stage 5. But let's get into stage 1 because we were never going to get there without this one. So splitting your service and how you communicate the value of online versus one-to-one. First off, don't use the word online because people don't have the context of what online means. Personal training has been around for how many years? A fuck ton. So people know exactly what they're going to get with personal training. They're anchored the value towards that, and because it's the proximity of being right next to you, they think that's more valuable to them. They believe, and I know this to be true because I work with over 400 coaches and I've listened to their clients and what their clients say, and I've listened to how their clients think. And they think they're going to get quicker and better results if they work with you in person. Whereas if we can separate the fact that coaching is the diet, the training plan, the activity, the check-ins, whereas personal training is literally physically your time, you're setting yourself up to weight value towards the coaching and people needing the coaching to get a better result. And not just a better result, but accelerating the process for them to get a result. So a lot of mistakes that personal trainers make is they give all this value as part of the personal training. And the first part of detaching you and giving you the freedom that you want is splitting the difference. So personal training is basically you just being an instructor in the gym. It's you being with them, whereas a coach, and again, avoid the word online because when they hear that, they probably think PDF, influencer, shitbag influencer who's going to rip them off and lower value, remote where they don't have the support. Avoid the word online, but make them think, if you use the word coach, you can actually think of a coach on the sideline teaching athletes and giving the game plan, giving the recovery. A coach really is someone who takes full responsibility for the result, and they have multiple different facets that they look into. And that's what we have to communicate here. This is the context we need to lay down in order for them to step away from needing you face to face. So when we communicate personal training, it needs to be you're an instructor teaching form, whereas a coach is someone who looks at the diet, who looks at the recovery rate, who looks at the training plan, who programs things, and then looks at the rate of change and takes all these factors into account. And there's 3 obvious things that you can communicate with the Gen Pop market, because let's be honest, a lot of it will go over their heads. So you need to be able to communicate the reason why they should choose the coaching model first, rather than just one-to-ones. Because most people will come in wanting one-to-ones because they know what it is. But if they don't know what coaching is, why would they do it? So when we communicate the fact purely looking at time, if you look at hours in a week, there's 168 hours in a week. Now, if most people have 1 to 2 sessions with you, that's 2 hours of your time and attention. Whereas if you can look at the training plan, look at the diet plan, look at what they do outside the gym in terms of activity, you're leveraging the other 166 hours. When you split the time intensity and the focus and what you can leverage, the mathematics start to add up and make sense to push towards coaching rather than just physically giving your time with them one-to-one. Then you look at, okay, what does the fat loss process look like? This is energy balance. Okay, so but if you say energy balance, they're not going to understand what that is. So we've got to communicate it in the rate of, okay, how does fat loss work? So how does fat loss work? 5% comes down to exercise. The vast majority of calories you burn comes down to your NEAT, your resting heart rate, your metabolism, controlling intake, your muscle mass. So when you look at it like that, a vast majority of progress is made outside the gym. And it's the stuff we do outside and how we structure the programming, which is really, really important. And that's part of coaching. And then you can look at the price. So if you're charging 35 quid an hour, just help yourself out, John. You're doing 50 quid an hour, let's just say, for a PT session, and you're doing, and let's say you program them 5 sessions per week in the programming. Well, that's 250 quid a week. That's £1,000 a month. When if you were to do it on a one-to-one basis, and that's what you'd program and you charge them for one-to-one, it's going to be very expensive. Whereas coaching is literally a quarter of the price. It could even be a sixth of the price, depending on what you charge. If you look at general market, it's somewhere between 150 per month and 250 per month for mid-ticket. So you can claim, even if you're at the higher end of that, that it's a quarter of the price versus charging the equivalent of your time. So when you start to communicate these points and the reasons why they should opt for coaching, because it's more cost effective, it actually takes care of more of the fat loss process, and it leverages time outside the gym where they can benefit, but you're not going to charge them as much for that when you detach your time. It makes the most sense because it's going to accelerate the rate as what they're going to get results for. So that's a big part of it, just splitting your services between coaching and your time physically in the gym as a PT or an instructor. So that's stage one. Then we need to move on to stage two, because again, people still might not get that. They still not be conditioned into seeing the value, and that's all this is. But if they can't see it and don't get it and they still want one-to-one, you can hybridize it as long as you start with the base of coaching. So if you communicate the reasons for the coaching, and you can say, look, ethically, I don't like to do anything less than coaching because I know it gets the result, because I know without focusing on what we do outside the gym, you're realistically not going to get too much of a result. And that's the way I structure it. So I don't like to charge people without doing the coaching package as a base foundation. Now, the good news for you is I include X sessions in that for free. You don't, you work out the price and you lump it in, you kind of do some form of deal. Let's just say you add 4 sessions in there. You charge them for those 2. You add that onto whatever you charge for coaching, and then you whack in 2 for free. That's a hybrid deal. So this is where you can kind of meet them in the middle and say, look, you need that support. I understand that. Obviously, I'm going to work with you. We're going to work on your form in the gym, so we know you're not wasting your time, and then later down the line you have the option to remove that. But does that seem fair? So you can leverage the fact that you can see them, you can build the coach-client relationship, and that's really important for retention when we come further down the line. And again, a lot of online coaches can struggle with that because it's hard to build a relationship if you're just physically not with them. And it takes a lot of people skills, which obviously I help my clients with. I mean, I'm a big advocate for retention. My clients average around 8 months with each of their client base. So that's a key metric for me. If I can help them average 8 months with each client they take on, and we can get 2 signups per week, that's at $8,000 per month business. Guaranteed, holding forever. So I'm passionately focused about retention. And if you need help with any of this, applying it to your circumstance, you can book in a call below. More than happy to help you with that. But let's get back into the hybrid, because if they want more sessions, you can add those on top and you can charge for them. So a conversation like this could go, so ethically, I don't like to do anything less than coaching because I know, as I've described, it gets the best result. It's a quarter of the price. I don't like to just train people without delivering the quickest return I can for them. Now, good news for you is initially I include one-to-one sessions for free as part of that. This is the rate. It includes this many sessions. You can add more sessions if you want. Most people have between 1 and 2 per week. How many were you looking for? Have a discussion and work out what best suits them. But if you set them up on the coaching package, you can get them on a monthly retainer from day dot. Use Stripe, get that payment system set, and you lay the foundations for them to come and pay you on a monthly basis. Even if you go on holiday or if they go on holiday, you establish that from the get-go, and it makes it professional, but also it gives you financial security. And then later down the line, when we look to remove your time, the initial phase could be hybridized if you wish. If they want to go straight to coaching, you've kind of done it. But if they don't want that and you want a hybrid phase, you could do 2 months, you could do 4 months. But at some point, you can have a conversation with them where you're looking to scale and you're looking to free up your time. You can say, look, you're performing really well in the gym. You don't actually need me. I think our best energy is going to be spent on looking at your next phase. And that's when you can show them a bit of a roadmap, a 6-month roadmap. Have a client on here with different, like obviously their body progressing, who you've helped previously. So you show the horizon, you show them what they're going to get. And that looks really exciting, and show them the phases you have planned for them coming up. And that will weight the value back towards the coaching and say, look, our energies are best spent here. If it's all right with you, I'd like to decrease the amount you pay me. I'd like to drop you down on the base rate, which saves you money. But also, I think it will enable us to get results more quickly when we focus, and I can put my energies into this. This is where you can introduce check-ins as well. Mention that. And then if it feels like the income or the expense is going down and their rate of results is going to go up, that is a no-brainer. And it's a really good way to communicate the fact that you're removing yourself from the process, but they're still benefiting from the coaching. And when they associate that with the vision of, again, if you have a 6-month goal for each client you take on, and you have a 2-year goal for each client you take on, you're doing everything you can to kind of lay that horizon. And because they won't think of it, they don't have a clue what's coming up. And if you're wondering why a lot of clients drop off, a lot of it's because they just don't see the horizon. They can't think in the future, and they can't see themselves. And this is a big problem. So if you get a lot of client drop-offs around 12 weeks, or you get client drop-offs in general, it's probably because they're just not aware of what they could do. They're not aware of their potential. And you, with someone who experience, you need to do that. It's up to you to show your clients of what they can achieve. They're not going to think for themselves, and you've got to be responsible and do that for them. So show them the horizon, and then if they can drop down, that's even better. So that's where we can remove our time, and then we can look into how you're going to organize that. Now, you don't have to jump off a cliff and do this overnight, but let's just say you are doing 50 hours per week, which Lloyd was doing. Well, initially, we looked to kind of condense those blocks down. We looked to remove some of the one-to-ones once they're on here, and then you could do windows where you're, obviously sessions back to back, or to sweeten this deal, you could even do like group blocks. Now, I say the word group very loosely. Group is basically not a group session where you're taking everyone through the same exercises, but you could just be available in the gym, and then you could see them one-to-one. So if you're really worried about step 3, you could say, well, how about this? You're at a position now where you don't need my one-to-one attention. You don't need me counting your reps, and it's costing you a bit. I'd like to drop you down and save you this much per month. However, when you do that, I'm actually organizing my time so you can actually see me, if you wanted to, 5 more times in the week. So we currently see each other in 1 session a week or X sessions a week. I'm making myself available during these windows. If you still wanted that support, I can see you. It won't be on a one-to-one basis, but I can still help and train you and spot your form. We can still work together. And I'm not going to charge you for that, That is where we can kind of get the most out of your form and the most of what you're doing in the gym here. But it's just more cost effective, and it enables me to detach my time a little bit so I can focus on the programming, but also I can still deliver some one-to-one support if needed. Does that seem fair? And then you can obviously look to consolidate your time, and this is where you can start to free up your evenings if you want to, moving down to 8-hour blocks, and this is what we did with Lloyd. But personally, I know you waste so much time if you have sessions in the day, and it's so inefficient. And if one of those sessions cancels, it's a pain in the arse. And you're left with just wasted time where you could be doing something to build the online. You could be creating content, or you could just be seeing your family. So consolidating the one-to-ones to free up blocks in the middle of the day can really help accelerate your progress in the online game. And this is where we're not going to go into it now, but if you start to create content off the back of what you're doing in face-to-face, it's again obvious proof that you know what you're doing. And then you could do that in the middle of the day. You could do it in this window here. That can accelerate getting inquiries off of online directly. So again, it frees up the burden of you having to rely on your one-to-one clients if you don't want to. And then in time, you keep doing that, you put the reps in, keep following that. You then move to detaching your time from or you could then take a block off of the evening, so you can then start your day being available for like group contact, and then you can free up your evenings to spend with your family. You have more productive time, and you're just carrying back more and more time to reinvest into growing your business, or just having fun, or just being with other people, being social for once. So combining the block grouping with removing your time is a really good way to get those stubborn one-to-one clients who are quite resistant to the thought of the coaching. And again, you avoid the word online, but we can get them into a system where they probably see a little bit more value and they get a bit more from us. But again, you can stack people into these blocks, and it can be more efficient for your time. Plus your income can go up, well, 6 times worth in Lloyd's example. So I'm not going to give up financial details because it's personal to him, but imagine he was working 50 hours per week. He was doing 50 one-to-one sessions per week, and now he's 6x that income online. And he can pay off a holiday within 2-3 days by taking consults from the balcony. It's insane once you know what to do. And then we get on to step 5, which is really powerful. This is referral networking. This is where we leverage the result you deliver for someone, and this is where you leverage the referral network that they bring. Everyone knows 4 to 5 people they're in regular communication with. Everyone. And when you have more time, and you show the horizon, and then you can set things up to build a better relationship, and you deliver an amazing result. If we can get in front of their network, if we can introduce a referral scheme where we give discount to the person who's been referred, and we give discount to the person who has referred that person, Jesus Christ, try saying that back, you can really grease the wheels of word of mouth marketing. And you'll find that you're probably going to have, and what you'll find is you'll have your champions. There are people who refer multiple times, and those are the people you want to look after. And once you do that, you have a lot more trust in their word than if you were to kind of go out and message that person directly. As I said, we haven't sent a single outbound DM. We're getting 5 to 10 inquiries per week from inbound conversations. And I know this because I've tracked it on the sheets. Why do you want to work with me specifically? I saw your results with so-and-so. I like what so-and-so put in a good word. You get great results. How can I do it like so? How can I look like so-and-so? So I know this works. And there's 2 main reasons for that. The first reason is when someone sees a result in someone they know, it's that comparison which creates a lot more urgency. I mean, put it like this. Traffic's a nightmare. The only thing worse than traffic is being stuck in a traffic jam, you going into the middle lane, and each lane either side of you overtakes you. And then you move lanes again, and then it seems like you now moved into the lane that's slowed down, and then you're being overtaken again. That is a ball ache, and that is the main thing which people see. It's that comparison of feeling overtaken, and it's that comparison with someone they know. It's that minor subconscious hierarchy shift, which creates more desire for the person witnessing that result to go, fuck, I want that. I need that. So you get a big spike in urgency in that person to take action. And then what you do is you have a spike in believability because they know the person that's got the result, and they see your name at the top. And they see your name, they see association, or they ask who did it, and they go to you because you were the person responsible for helping so-and-so get a result. I know so-and-so. If they can do it, I can do it, and I want to look better. And as much as people don't want to admit it, that is deep down what happens. And it's something for us to leverage. So if we can put referral schemes in place, if we can leverage networks, if we can do internal client competitions, if we can do story competitions, if we can do some form of collaborations, there's loads of things we can do to get in front of their following and mine that area of high trust. And that really accelerates the process of inquiries coming through. And as I said in the beginning of the video, you have the trust, you have local marketing, and you have that authority in your area. Leverage that, get in front of the following, repeatedly mine it. As much as people talk about online, they think that they're going to just post something and a random stranger is going to go, ooh, I trust him, I'm going to go with her, whatever. And you hear a lot of bullshit in this space on paid advertising, that it's the silver bullet, that if you put out a paid ad, you get a nurturing sequence which warms people up, and then for 14 days you're going to get people coming through on tap. And I've seen the model, I've tested it. It realistically attracts the most fickle people who have no willpower, and you have to spend an obscene amount. Your communication messaging has to be exceedingly good, and you have to spend a lot of time and money in the pixel and on the algorithm to attract people and just weed out the people who actually have commitment. Because the people coming through paid ads, the people coming through cold at face value, they don't know you. They're not coming because they want to work with you. They're coming based on the offer. And if you're not amazing or an expert salesman, which kind of converts on that offer, it's really hard to get good retention out of these people. And they typically duck at the first level of effort or the first level of struggle. Whereas if you have trust through someone else, and then you reflect what you're doing in the content, and the people look at the content and they resonate, and then you start to condition your audience with what to expect, those people already know you and they come into your service. Those are the people who typically stay. And like I said, there's only 2 metrics we care about: 8-month minimum retention and 2 inquiries per week converted. 8K per month guaranteed, increasing to that within 6 months, holding with that forever if you can maintain those 2 metrics. And that's what we're trying to do. And for a personal training, this is the best way, these 5 steps. And it comes down to communicating the value and giving them incentive to obviously choose coaching in the first place, work with you, detach your time and get the more value from your time. and then leverage who they know. And that's it. So if you need help with any of that, you can book in a call below. Obviously, I do this for a living, but that's it for now. See you in the next video. I hope this one helped.